Well, I got enough, so that's what's important.
Well,
Lock all doors.
2 o'clock, and at this time, I'll call the May 21st meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission to order. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the March 12th meeting. Can you receive those in your packet?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Holmes, second by Mrs. Brown. Any additions or deletions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The minutes are approved. The next item is the April safety report.
Good afternoon, all. I'm just going to give y'all the numbers since I haven't seen some of y'all since February. Kind of running down March and April just where we are with our numbers. We just have an injury that was recordable due to the prescription medication. So we're at 65 days since that recordable. We're 214 since the last lost time injury. And again, that was in March, that recordable we've had no injuries from April. We've got 1 year to date. As you can see, our incident rate is, we got an incident rate and it's steadily declining now to today's incident rate of 3.4. We stay on track. And, we can get it down, I think, by the end of the year with this one to like a 1.3. So we just continue on trying to express the awareness and keep everybody on their toes.
Any questions? Thank you very much, sir. Next item is personnel update.
All right. I won't be giving a lot of updates from here forward. Just as far as, yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
going to move over there
So you can see.
so I can see.
That's fine. I figured you were used to having to turn around and look, so.
Well, yeah, I can turn around, I still can't see.
Again, since our last meeting, we have not had any new hires or resignations. The reason we haven't had any new hires, just because during this time we have not brought any new personnel in associated with doing orientation, and it's not been as needed. As we start to come out of this issue, we will start to bring in some areas where we have some openings, some staff. I know we had some applications for the electric department that we were reviewing when this started, the COVID-19 started occurring. We put those on hold until this kind of subsided to just wait. Any questions associated with those numbers?
Yeah. You have some math problems in there.
Okay.
Electrical department, 19, 15,
5, yeah, we
Four.
sure do.
is 4. That those off the bottom line.
Yeah.
Just don't know which one.
83 and 73.
We'll have to look at that and see which numbers are right.
I looked at it. I actually caught something that's on. Okay, any further questions about the personnel report? All in favor? All opposed? Personnel report is approved.
All right, financial update. All right. Going over year-to-date numbers, you can see comparisons to this year to last year. We had a very mild winter. We also have had very depressed natural gas prices, which has caused the energy prices to be much lower. If y'all remember, and I won't, the year 2016, we we actually had issues in 2016 where I think for the year we were actually, as a utility as a whole, we ended up in the red. We are seeing some of the same power supply or energy pricing compared to that year, okay? The difference between that year and this year is, if you remember, in 2016, we wrote off $800,000. This year, we're only going to write off around 300 or less thousand. Okay, so that's going to help us. Okay, so, but it is, as you can see, compared to the past couple of years, and I've said this before, we make our money based on energy sales. Our fixed price associated that's in our rate does not cover our fixed costs necessarily. We have to have energy costs. We still have the summer. If we have an extremely hot summer, that could come back and we could have higher than normal energy sales that will bring back some of that. But we got to have the energy sales to cover our costs. Okay? It's just something, you know, we need to look into in the future. I don't, you know, say it's right or wrong. It is the way our rates are structured. It's based on, you know, energy sales and not separated between here's fixed cost and here's variable cost and carried over to one another. So, and we are going to continue to do some things to reduce our costs this year. One of the things that we just recently done, Madeline Stokes kind of spearheaded this project. We went out and John might have did a paper on it where we went through and we had a drone fly all of our lines that we were going to trim. Well, when they did that, they were able to tell how far the trees were from our lines. And they marked the areas that needed to be trimmed and the areas that didn't need to be trimmed. So it's because we have been having a good tree trimming process and we had gotten on basically a 4-year cycle, we had not done our due diligence on do we need to cut them every 4 years or 5 years or 6 years to make sure we're getting a good trim. We were able to, with the drone flying and using of technology, see what areas need to be trimmed, and we're going to not have as large of an expense in tree trimming this year. As you all know, we budget $450,000 every year for tree trimming. So we're going to be able to reduce our expenditures with contract tree trimming to help also offset some of these lower. One of the things that, if y'all looked at your fuel adjustment, you've actually had a credit to you every month of this year. So that's one of the things that, you know, like I said, the lower energy prices, you're giving that benefit back to the customer because it's a lower energy price, but then I'm not getting my fixed cost covered. So, plus with all the sewer projects that we are doing, you know, I'm subsidizing. Because you can see electric's still doing well when you break it down by revenue class. It is still performing well, and that's with the second lowest residential rates in the state. So the electric is still performing well. It's just our sewer is having to be subsidized to a higher extent also. Just to kind of tell you a couple other things, as y'all know, we waived, just give you where we're at with the office and where we're at with disconnects and discount forfeiture. We did not charge the discount forfeiture, or some people refer to as the penalty charge, for the months of March or April, and we will also waive it for the month of May. We have not done cutoffs since March, April, and we won't be doing them through the month of May. What my initial plans are to open our office June 1st for internal payments. You can see all the straps and everything. Our plan is to have people one way in, walk around. We'll end up putting spacing dots out there so where you can come in and then go into the office, pay your bill, and then you have to go back out. So the only door that you pass on is that one door that has to go into the office. But you will come in, the doors to the building's left, walk around, then you'll come in, go into the office, pay your bill, come out, and go out the doors that are on the right. Okay? And when we send the bills out in June, we will then more than likely be letting them know we will be cutting those off who are delinquent. Okay, that's what my plans are. That's, I think, our past due compared to build went from, and we ran some numbers, and some of the things as a group we've been trying to do is get some more monies allocated for potentially small businesses. So I figured out my past due to build ratio. In 2019, it was 5%. As of April, in April of 2020, it went up to 15%. So it's something we're having to deal with. If you have a past due bill, this month I'm sending out a letter letting people know that, hey, we understand the times, we just ask, you know, be focused, pay your bills, you know. So, just something we need to think about. Has anybody got, just in general, on the financials and the office plans?
Todd, I think you're doing excellent considering the situation, especially with small businesses. We may need to come up with like a payment plan to let them pay the current bill and work the other out a little at a time. Just let it go in overnight.
Yeah, and I agree. And, you know, I think that's the biggest thing. And I can tell you, the Arkansas Municipal Association and just to kind of let y'all know, this is Jason Carter. He is General Counsel for Arkansas Municipal Power Association. We put together a proposal that we presented to, what's the name of the organization that?
So it's the Economic Recovery Task Force. You may have seen it, the governor stood up two committees. One is composed of basically department heads in the directorates of the state, and then they've got 3 representatives and 3 senators on that committee. That's kind of the legislative side. Then there's also an Economic Recovery Task Force. I think that's 27 members on it. Stuart Walton is heading that up. They've got a commerce subcommittee that's got the director of the Department of Commerce is on it, and there's a representative of small business, a guy named Mark Young out of Jonesboro is on that committee. What we've done is to develop a proposal that, because let me take one step back. The federal government has allocated like $1.2 billion to the state of Arkansas with CARES Act funds. CARES Act funds cannot be given directly to municipalities. That's prohibited, right? They can't just give us the money to make up for our lost revenue. So what we proposed to them was that they would give the money to small businesses and nonprofits who are delinquent on their bill. Kind of like LAHI works for residential customers. And that's a program that's been very expanded, right? So we've got a lot more residential help out there, but we're proposing a program of funding for small businesses and nonprofits that if they're delinquent on their bill, it would give them up to 2 months of support, $600 each to pay local municipal utility bills. So that's the thing that we've asked for. We've offered to share data with them if they'll fund it. And we've asked for $8.5 million in funding for that program. We think that would be adequate based on our survey of the utilities and where they look like on their delinquencies right now. So, and it was a little larger than small businesses when we were including nonprofits in there. I think that bumped the number up a little bit that we were asking for. But I think that we see a lot of nonprofits, particularly churches, that the doors have been closed and they're having trouble making their payments. So if we had a program out there that could assist them that way, we think that it would not only help our communities, but it would help our utilities, stay on the right side of the ledger.
And again, that's been proposed. Hopefully that will help some of the small businesses in the area. Any other questions on that? Comments? All right. That's the financial update. Moving on to the next thing is consent administrative order. Y'all were given a document that was, it's a summary of the consent administrative order from Fisher & Arnold, who is our engineer of record with Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. It outlined, it was a summary of what's going to be done to get us in compliance. The consent administrative order was approved by the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. So we are in the process of starting to execute some of the things that we've laid out. Hopefully our next face-to-face meeting will be approving an engineer to do the design on the wastewater treatment plant that has been proposed. And when I mean a design, we've got I'll say an overview, but we'll have to get detailed drawings and then of that, and that's going to take 6 to 9 months to get that done. That's an extreme period. If you looked at the last page 3 of that document, you can see all the items that were kind of proposed, construction items that were proposed to be done in that and their estimated budgetary cost. Okay. As you can see, some of those items are already starting to take place. Pump stations 3 and 4 force main and the pump station 9 additional pump install. So those are being taken place and probably will be coming before y'all in a few months for approval. Y'all have already approved the engineering for those. So we will hopefully be putting together documents. And Ward, can you help me with that just a little bit? When do we expect that to be bid and bids open? It was, do you remember?
It'd be about a year from now. We're looking at.
I thought we were at the end of this year.
Well, for the engineering and everything.
Okay.
we'll
On
get,
Station 9, pump force main 3 and 4, those were, I thought, just the end of this year.
Yeah, by the end of the year. but
Okay.
For construction, something out on the.
Yeah, the completion of construction will be the end of next year. So a lot of those dollars, even though we're getting engineering, we're bidding it, a lot of this equipment is 16 and 20 week delivery. So a lot of those costs are going to roll into some of our 2021 budget. Okay?
Yeah, they're like pump station 15, we're not getting those pumps till
Right.
December.
Till December. So a lot of there's long lead times on the equipment, so it rolls over, but we're getting the process started. The major one that you can see at the last one on the bottom is the wastewater treatment plant expansion design and construction, and you can see the price tag on that one. So that's the one. As we start to move forward, we will be discussing a bond issue for sure to pay for that Okay? We'll need to come up with that. And again, this is a mandate from the state, so it got to be done. All right? Just to give you an update of where we're at, I know several of y'all have seen and still heard about our sinkholes throughout the city. If y'all remember, we had originally had gotten them going, I guess, the end of last year. They have completed the sinkhole at West Jefferson and South 7th Street. That one is complete. In other words, the problem has been fixed. The road has not been repaid, but that's because they'll come back and do all that at the very end. The West Walnut, which hopefully will be completed in about 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks I'd say. They're actually doing the directional boring now. Hopefully by the end of this week they'll have that pipe pulled back through that directional bore, and then they'll be, once they have the pipe in place, they'll be able to start setting manholes. So hopefully in about 2 weeks that job will be done. They were supposed to go from South 7th and Jefferson to, I said West Jefferson, East Jefferson to Woods. But as y'all know, we had another sinkhole up there at South Avalon and Broadway near Ampa. So since the street at Woods was already somewhat torn up, I got them up there real quick. They used the pricing, the line item pricing from the contract we had already approved. And I said, go up there and get that fixed. They went up there and you saw they repaired that and they've cleaned it up. And they are now down at Woods and Jefferson. I'm gonna have to come back to you at the end of the year and we'll have to do a budget amendment because of that cost over there, okay? I can tell you the cost estimate based on the line items we were given, it's around $500,000 for that down there. I don't know if y'all saw or went around that area and saw how much water is being pumped. It was four dewatering wells all around that, trying to pull the groundwater down far enough so that they can get in there and set that manhole and set the piping and put the concrete in place. You know, at first they tried it with just 2, and then when they dug down, they still had water right there, so they came in and put 2 more dewatering wells on either side, and it was able to pull it down, and they were able to get that work done. So it's it's one of those items that's, you know, we're paying for not doing preventive maintenance over the years, so we will continue to do what we can to address the issues that we have in our sewer system, best of our ability. And we've got others that we will continue to get addressed. Okay? Any questions about the consent administrative order or what you've seen as far as?
Would be a sufficient bond for that wastewater?
And again, those bonds will be backed by our electric revenue. Okay, you can do that. Just like the airport uses our electric revenue to get a good bond issue. So it'll be backed by our, and I've already started to talk to them, and yes, I'm gonna wait a little while because a lot of that large expenditure is gonna be on the back end. It's going to be equipment, you know, when the construction actually starts. You know, I'm gonna have costs going on through, you know, starting the end of this year and through the middle of next year. But when the folks show up on site and start pouring concrete and digging, and I got, you know, clarifiers coming in, and I got all this equipment coming in, that's when we start to get the major costs. And I can tell you that I got with Stevenson, the gentleman with Stevenson's out of Little Rock who only does our bond issues, and I'm glad we're not going out right now, because it's very unstable. Let me put it that way. So, it's coming back down, it's getting back stable, so, you know, but I'm glad we're not have to do it right now. We can wait a little bit. We're going to use our reserves to start to float some of this. And then the last item on this, with what we're being able to secure, extend on our wholesale power supply contract, we're going to be able to secure a good wholesale power supply price and be able to continue to use electric revenue to help subsidize that. Yeah, and, you know, float that. But we do need to start to look at addressing our water and sewer rates and start inching them up. Because if we ever have a time where our wholesale revenue cost goes way up, our water and sewer does not pay for itself. Y'all know that. Okay? Actually, if you look at the financials,
Speaking from an eye school.
if you look at the financials, you see water, and then you see sewer. This one ain't terrible. This is the one that kills me.
Anything in the emergency, take care of it.
Well, and the problem is, these pipes are only 3 feet deep. These pipes are anywhere from, 6 to 20. And that's what's, you know, if you would have went down there, you know, you see the hole, and they're at, and this area, this contractor's out of Memphis, and they're like, this is crazy. It's gumbo for 15 feet. And then you get to 15 feet, and it's just soluble sand. I mean, it's quicksand. Literally. And it just, I mean, it sits there, and the water bubbles, and as long as that river's up, it's saturated. And they cannot pull that thing. It's just the craziest thing in the world. So, you know, like I said, this is the one that, you know, it's our cost greatly outweigh our revenue.
It's needs the most work.
Right, and it is.
Well, and I can say, we need to take care of our rates instead of the state of Arkansas telling us what to charge.
Yeah, I agree. And as long as we're able to pay for our stuff, they're okay with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew this was coming. In the past couple of years, as y'all know, we've done well on our cash flow, so I'm gonna be able to use some past revenues and roll forward, delay it, but we need to start addressing this issue. So, all right. All right. The last one.
Anybody got any questions on the consent administration? Okay.
All right. The last one I wanted to go over is, as y'all know, just to kind of introduce again, Jason Carter is our general counsel for Ampa. He also assisted me as legal. Jason was city attorney for North Little Rock. He's also a retired colonel for reserve, so tons of experience. And I can tell you, I didn't know Jason until they lost their general manager, and Jason as city attorney stepped over and started kind of helping run their city electric department. And I think he fell in love with the business and his just knowledge of city, you know, law, and then having the municipal, you know, as a lawyer. Then he's learning the technical and learning it even more. It's been a very valuable asset to Ampa. So, and then I've used him for this as legal counsel for negotiating of this power supply contract. I also used in front, who most of y'all who's been on this board for a while, the gentleman Steve Stein. As y'all know, he's out of Florida. We chose, Jason's out of North Little Rock. So we allowed that organization to stay in Florida. Okay, they gave us, they were, my consultant and did it. So I'm giving the proposal, but you can see who it was written by. And you can do, we went and did the review the RFP process, reviewed the evaluations of the proposals, and then the conclusions at the end. Just to kind of go over some of the stuff. We started this process, if y'all remember, back in August, where they issued an RFP. We received a total of 25 proposals, okay, from 5 different companies, okay, and we sent it out to 9, okay, and that was October. From there, we went into a process where we narrowed it down to the 2 lowest that we thought would best fit our needs, and they were a company called Next Air Energy Marketing and Constellation. We then got reevaluations, okay, and got narrowed in on what we thought was going to be the best thing. We then took those repricings that they gave us as we narrowed in and compared them on several different modeling scenarios. That's where Infront came in and ran a lot of those modeling for me, where they, base case, you have a projection of what natural gas is going to cost. Then they said, what happens if natural gas goes high? What happens if natural gas goes low? What happens if West Memphis has a lot of load growth? Okay? How are all these things going to affect the contracts that they're proposing? And several other economic evaluations, energy costs at proposed EPA prices, and this was given to y'all. It was the PowerPoint that was in, and those were all the things that we went through and evaluated these things on. Okay. Again, the West Memphis annual load forecast they helped us with. They went and helped us with our hourly load shapes that we proposed. They helped us with the forward gas prices. And they also helped us with looking at what the current MISO capacity prices are in the market. Once we got that, we sat down, we narrowed it down, we negotiated the contracts, okay? We, today, at 1 o'clock, received proposals from the vendor that we thought was the best fit, and we are asking that y'all recommend to City Council for them to execute an agreement with Next Air Energy Marketing LLC. The contract is a 5-year contract for 5 years energy, 3 years capacity. They did give us a 5-year capacity, but the pricing, we felt, because of the risk, as you got further and further away, was not conducive for us to sign that. It was an extremely large difference between when you got out to 5 years capacity versus them just giving us a 3-year capacity price. We felt that, it was more conducive to sign the 3-year capacity, 5-year energy, wait a few years, and then come back and ask for pricing on the last 2 years of the capacity and potentially blending in maybe some extended years of energy. So I can tell you the pricing I'm very pleased with. We'll be able to, I think, hold our energy prices for our customers for as long as this contract is, and that's 2026. Remember, our current contract ends May 30th, 2021. This contract would start June 1st, 2021 and go till May 30th, 2026. Is there a 31?
Yeah.
There is? Okay, I couldn't remember. Dang, 31. All right. Yeah, I know. I was going to June, July. I'm trying to do that in my head.
Right there.
Is it? Hey, how about I just read what it
That's how
I was trying to remember from memory. So, 31st. So, again, we'll be able to maintain our electric retail rates where they're at. And I think that's something, again, as y'all know, 60% of my cost is buying and getting this delivered to the city, if not more. It's between 60 and 70% it fluctuates. So, you know, you got anything to add on that?
I'd just say, you know, I think there's a great contract. I think that, you know, what's most important anytime you're negotiating contracts is that both parties know what they're doing, you know, that they understand what their obligations are going in, and that both are willing to, you know, accept consideration on both sides of the table. I think this was a well-negotiated contract that everybody understands the deal. It's very meticulously drafted. Everybody understands what their obligations are. If you would have told me that you'd been around this price point 5 years ago, I'd have said you're crazy. Because it's great to be able to seize timing, you know, that you're at right now. It's a little odd with having 5 years of energy, but only 3 years of capacity that goes with it. But I think that just reflects where the capacity market is right now. Anytime that we've tried to reach out for a longer period of time to secure capacity, the price for some reason just goes into this hockey stick. You know, it just really flexes upward. And you can get a whole lot better pricing, it seems like, by going short term. So by blending this in with a longer energy product and a shorter capacity product, then I think that that's what's ended up with the best fit for West Memphis. You know, one of the things that we're not even really hitting on is you also get some ancillary services out of this. So on top of that, you're getting some other ancillary services as far as participation in the MISO market and some of the administrative burden that goes along with that. Some of that you keep yourself, but you're aware of those things. And but then, you know, your counterparty's holding a whole lot of it for you too. And that's not free, right? There's an expense that goes along with that, and they're absorbing that. So for that reason, you know, I think that it's a good contract, and as what my role in the negotiating team, I would certainly recommend it.
Go ahead.
Forgive my restating what you said if I'm mistaken. You said 3 years capacity, 5 years.
Energy. Okay.
So explain that, please.
Yeah, I know. Remember when we went into MISO, it's a market. You're buying and selling the electricity literally on almost a 15-minute interval. Okay, they settle hourly, but so you have an energy market and you have a capacity market. They're separate. Okay, the capacity market you can buy, and what that means is, hey, what they say, my load is 85 megawatts. You need to have reserves to cover that. Okay, if you notice I said megawatts, not megawatt hours, megawatts. So, and I think it's 12% is the reserve margin you have to have, so you multiply 85 by 12%, and that's how much capacity you got to show that I got steel. I got physical steel that can cover my load if some of the others starts to go away. Energy is kilowatt hours on a daily basis, just, you know, or megawatt hours on a daily basis is what that is. The energy cost is the larger portion of the bill, okay? But capacity can negatively affect your total bill. The price I get, they blend the capacity and the energy and give me just one single price per megawatt hour, okay? So you don't see it like anybody that might have a large load in the city of West Memphis has a demand charge, and then they have an energy charge. Demand is the load term, capacity is the generator term. okay? You know, like West Memphis has for a large power service, like Coca-Cola or them, that we charge them a demand charge of $7 per kW, okay? And then they have an energy rate at 0.0352, okay? The capacity charge and our rate that we got from NextEra is a blended rate for just per megawatt hour, but that capacity charge is in there because they got to serve it,
Yeah.
okay? That's what, yeah.
Okay, so, next question, next area proposal based on the purchase of constant amount of energy around the clock.
Correct.
Why is that?
Okay, it's a little bit, the proposal that they gave is they're paying us one price. Here's your price for all the energy the city needs. And they're going to pay us, okay, for the power from our coal plants. So they're going to charge us this price, and they're going to pay us for energy out of our coal plants at this price. Where before, I was having to schedule, and they were removing that bottom piece. Well, under my current contract, they were removing that and only serving what was above. They're serving the whole load, but they're buying the energy from us, from our coal plants at a rate. Okay, that's the little difference between the two contracts. And just to let you know, our current supplier, who was NRG, they got bought by Glico, did not bid on this project. So that was not an option even to, and the reason they did not bid is because, and the gentleman who I know very well with their organization called me, he apologized, he actually came up here and sat down with me and said, we're not going to be able to bid. It's a business model for them, and they said, we're not going to be able to do it. We got these other issues we got to deal with. We can't currently bid on this project. So he made a special trip up here. I actually got a call from him or an email from him just the other day asking how we were doing. So still, and he hopes to be able to do business with them in the future when their business model changes, but at this time they were not.
I think the fact that the uncertainty in the petroleum industry, with the drop in the prices and the effect that has on the drillers and the providers of natural gas, it's amazing that you got a 5-year contract.
Yeah,
They don't know what we're going to be there 2 years from now.
right.
So,
And Jason, tell you here, I'm going to tell you, I'm a little disappointed because if we would have got this done sticking couple months ago, it'd be just a little bit better price. It's still a great price, but this whole COVID-19 has caused the whole market and everything. I'm like, how does COVID-19 mess up natural gas prices? But it did.
they're not drilling enough.
So part of it, and I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said, hey, how's the oil business, how's this affecting the energy market? And it is in a really weird way.
Yes.
So with COVID-19, everybody stopped driving, planes landed, and the demand for oil and gas went down. Well, when the demand for oil and gas goes down, that means pumps start shutting down, right? The wells start pumping. Well, those same wells that are pulling oil out of the ground, they have a byproduct of natural gas. So, like through the Permian Basin, when they start shutting down the oil pumps, that starts, as a byproduct, shutting down natural gas production, even though there's still all this demand for natural gas. So the demand for natural gas is still there because we're not using it as much in the transportation industry, right? We're using it in our homes and businesses, so that demand's still there. But then that supply that's cut down and it inflects, right, the cost of natural gas, which sets the market cost of electricity. So natural gas plants that drive the cost of electricity. So that's where we recognize the price inflation.
But even with that said, as I can tell you, natural gas prices right now are in the sub $2 range. I can tell you, when we signed our contract in 2003, 2004, they were in the $8 per MMBTU range. And I know this for a fact, the city he was at, just a few months later, they were in the $15.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we are
saw
still
more than double.
at a very opportune time of low natural gas prices. And that's why these prices are where they're at. Okay? And I can tell you, we are continuing to have discussions about alternative energy away from our coal plants. As y'all know, that is still on the board. I continue to do research and looking for possibilities of supplementing those when that comes around.
We have some flexibility in this contract.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And if y'all look, NextEra, one of the companies, they're one of the largest developers of solar generation in the country. They actually are the ones that built the solar facility in Stuttgart, Arkansas. And they're building another one in Arkansas somewhere.
Yeah, so, yeah, they built the one, and they're selling the power out of it, all the energy in Stuttgart. They got the Lake Village facility, and that's 100 megawatts, I think they built it.
I think so too.
And then the 100 megawatts with batteries, I think they're building it in north of Searcy, but Energy buying them out of the plant as soon as they get it done.
Right.
But they are solar developers.
They
got
are
large solar
huge.
developers.
The NextEra is actually the parent company of Florida Power and Light. So Florida Power and Light is their regulated side. This is the unregulated side, but Florida Power and Light looks up to them. So they are a very large developer. And will assist us in other ways in the future, I hope. Any other?
Do I have a motion to present this for approval to the city council?
Second.
Have a motion by Jerry Barnes, second by Ms. Marshall. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Ross ain't here. Somebody's got to adjourn us.
Have a motion, Ms. Marshall, to adjourn. We have a second. Second by Mrs. Brown. All in favor? Aye.